Right under the bus.
First, on Terry and Chase. They both expressed a lot of confidence
Yes.
in what they could do. How did they look to you?
Well, I'll start with Terry. Terry looked really good. You know, he took the reps that we had listed for him, and he looked good. So obviously the opportunity to increase him tomorrow will most certainly occur. It was a good day for him. As far as Chase is concerned, as Chase told you, he's doing everything he can to get himself ready to play. You know, we have reps scripted for him. We have certain periods that he can participate in. And again, it's going to be all up to what happens with the doctor visit that he has coming up soon. And we'll go from there. But the young man is chomping at the bit. He's done everything that he possibly could probably. And he's getting himself ready to play. And again, if he's cleared, we'll go.
And then obviously Magic Johnson talked to the team today. What did you take from that? What was that experience like in having them here?
What was really cool was, you know, when the players engaged with Magic, asking a few questions, and you know, a couple guys asked, you know, what's a championship team? What's the characteristics of it? And just listening to his answers, our guys really, you could tell they really bought into it and understood exactly what he's talking about. It's funny, you know, it's kind of like being your parent. You can tell your kid all you want, but till somebody like Magic says it, then it means something. But it was really cool because he talked to the guys, talked about the characteristics of the championship team, about how they held each other accountable, how they, you know, it didn't matter who you were, you could hold each other accountable, and that was probably one of the more important messages, and I really appreciated that. And just listening to him talk to the guys about how he, you know, how successful he is, and you understand why, just because of who he is.
Ron, with these injuries to Chase and Terry, obviously they're competitors. They want to play. They'll be there on Sunday, you know. But how much is it a balancing act where you don't want to push them, you don't want to rush it, you know, versus they want to be out there and play? How much do you kind of weigh that?
It's always a balancing thing because again, you know, you appreciate young men like this that want to get out there and play and play with their teammates, and it's one of those things that that I have a tremendous amount of respect when I see guys that do whatever it takes and they do the little things, and that's what you're seeing from both these young men. They're doing the little things, they're paying attention to what they're being told, and they're doing the best they can. Now it's you know, we'll know as the week progresses.
What have you seen from this team that makes you believe this team is ready to play meaningful football on Sunday?
Oh, I just think the growth that we've had in the last couple of years. I mean, we've got our heads above water in light of the situation, circumstance we've had the last few years. I thought this training camp was different. The energy level was different. The way the guys did things was different, obviously. You know, a lot of it has to do with the new ownership. A lot of it has to do with what we've done on the offensive side of the ball. The experience we have on the defense. I mean, these are the things that you're looking for, and I think that's what we're getting. So again, we'll see. That's why we play them on Sundays.
Obviously, this is your fourth season, but new starting quarterback in Sam, new ownership, full house on Sunday. Kind of, what do you make of just kind of the fresh start aspect of what Sunday is going to be like, and you get to play a football game too?
I think that's it. The biggest thing about it more than anything else is that, you know, we'll play in front of a packed house. I mean, that's exciting. And what we're looking forward to is, you know, seeing the crowd and seeing a crowd that's in our favor. I think that's going to be really cool. You know, our business side has done a terrific job selling the tickets, selling the suites, getting the fans engaged. And that's kind of the synergy of it all. Now we have to go out and do our job and play the best of our abilities.
Ron, I was wondering if you remember your first game as a defensive coordinator when you had to call everything, when it was your show, and what was that? The Chargers, right? And what those emotions were like?
Yeah, actually it was Chicago, 2004, and it was pretty intense. I mean, it's one of those things that you check and you recheck and you check again, and you know, I do remember it was a home game, waking up real early, earlier than normal. I mean, like 4:30 early, and just kind of going over the list again, going through my play calls, and you know, and I actually went downstairs early because we stayed downtown at the hotel. I went downstairs to the defensive room and I threw the tape in again, and I put a sequence of different plays, so I would had to read, you know, what the down and distance was, what the personnel was, what the circumstances were, and then I would call play. And I can remember going through it, and it just kind of flowed. And that's what I'm looking for, you know, is the flow. And that was one of the things that I was really impressed with Eric, the very first preseason game, when I stood by him and listened to him, was just his flow and how quickly he went from one play to the other. And then when we got into the rhythm, and when we, even though we had the 2 penalties in the first series, or the penalty and the sack in the first series, his flow never stopped. And then when we finally got to the 3rd series, and when you just saw it, if we went down and everything just kind of came together. And then it just kept going that way. Doing the Baltimore game, I felt the same way with it. And then we finished that way. So for him, for Eric, without Andy's shadow, I'm really looking forward to seeing him, really kind of come into his own. I really am. I mean, he's been terrific. He's really helped make an impact on this football team, and I'm excited for us as a football organization because of a young man like that.
I know Ditka was long gone by then, but that shadow was still there, for anybody who was on the defensive side of the ball in Chicago. And I just wonder, was that still something you had to deal with? Like, I'm gonna call things, they may work, they may not, but I'm going to be compared to Ditka no matter what I do.
I think so, but I was fortunate enough that I had been there, and I think that because I played for the organization, that wasn't something that was held over me as much as anything else.
So, Coach, I wanted to ask you, you played obviously at RFK, and you've seen how the old, Commanders, Redskins / crowds used to be. But since you've been here, you've had to deal with COVID, empty stadiums, and things like that. How excited are you to be able to see a full house in this environment?
I'm very excited. I really, truly am. A lot of it has to do with just, from my own personal experience, having been on the football field, even though it was on the other side, but just watching the bleachers literally bounce at old RFK. I mean, that was, as a rookie in the league, and it was a playoff game, the atmosphere was unbelievable. It's just one of those things that I'll never forget, and I know I've referenced to it many times. And this is what we've been working for, and this is what's exciting, and we got to live up to it now.
When you talk to the players and you see the way they react to Magic, do you get the sense that it really means a lot to them that to have an owner like that
Yes.
who has been there and achieved at the highest levels?
I think that's one of the cool things because, when you talk about coaches that have played in the league, it doesn't necessarily mean you're better than anybody. It just gives you perspective. And then when you take a person as iconic as Magic, who's won 5 championships as a player and 5 championships as an NBA owner, you sit there and you say, wow, he's got an unbelievable resume. And so what he does, what he says resonates very strongly with these young men. What I found really cool is in just talking with our players about the new ownership, one of the things that they've said is just the fact that, they've been able to sit down, talk with them, have lunch with them. Mr. Harris came in a couple of times and has had meetings with our guys during training camp and spent a little bit of time and asked them specific questions about what can we do, how can we help. And then they've gone out and done these things. And that's kind of the communications that our players have had with these guys. But at the same time, them following through has been really, really big for the guys. And I think that's one of the reasons that they're pretty excited. I mean, having Mr. Harris come in and, talk to the guys, introduce Magic, and then, sit back and let Magic do his thing. And then every now and then he would interject and the players would respond. I mean, it was really neat. It really was.
Do you remember any specifics from that 2004 Chicago game plan or any specific play calls that you made?
I remember, some of the blitzes we ran, some of the things that we did. I mean, it was a close game. I can remember that much. We ended up losing on a kick, a field goal at the very end. It was a real close game, but yeah.
And what do you make of the new schedule that you have? Practicing a little bit later. It's hot this week. What have you kind of made of that so far?
Well, I mean, it's pretty much the type of schedule we've been using the last week and a half. And the guys seem to assimilate it very well. Come in the morning, take care of all their business in terms of meetings and walk through, and then going out on the field, taking what we've done and putting it to work during practice has been fine. I think our guys have responded well. I think they've handled it very well. It's going to be warm this next couple of days, but hopefully by the end of the week, it's going to be it'll be in the mid 80s. One of the things that we've emphasized with our guys, and we went out and did it today, I think you guys noticed we had several watering stations out there, several ice tubs that were set up. for around the field, so guys could pull out the ice towels and keep themselves cool. We took several water breaks today. We increased that, just trying to keep the guys cool. And so far we only had 2 guys cramp up. I think part of it has also been a direct result of the way we've practiced all year, and starting with OTAs and minicamp, and now into training camp.
Got 5 more minutes. Coming off the Labor Day break, Magic Johnson's here. There's all this excitement about the sellout. Do you challenge the guys to make sure they're locked in practice?
Yeah, because one of the biggest things that we just tell them, and it goes back to what we used to say, and that is, let's make sure we're focusing on what's important, and and let's just kind of get past the interesting stuff more so than anything else. And so we got on the practice field. I thought we had a really good up-tempo practice. I thought the guys handled it well. There was a lot of interaction between the players. It really was. It was one of those things that you sit there and go, wow, they're getting it. They understand. So that was a plus.
Tight end's obviously been a key for Andy Reid, Eric Bieniemy offenses. How do you feel about Logan going into week 1?
Very confident about Logan. Logan looked really good. In fact, he wasn't even on the he's not even on the report, right? Yeah. Logan's not on the report. So looked good. He did. For everything that was going on the side, Logan was in all the meetings, he did all the walkthroughs. That's one thing that he did while he was doing all of his rehab. He did all the walkthroughs, so he was getting, that. The biggest thing he's been working on the last 2 weeks has really been timing between him and Sam, and it looks like it's starting to come together.
Coach, when we talk about Jamison Crowder, what you were kind of looking for when you brought him in for the visit, what you saw that led ultimately to him joining the practice squad?
Well, first of all, a veteran that was comfortable out there, going to catch punts for us. He looked really good. He's a very crafty, shifty route runner, and kind of looking for a little more veteran guy out there as well to help out. And we'll see how it goes, how the rest of this week unfolds.
And every first is a major hurdle for young players, especially rookies, and understandably some nerves associated with that. What do you say, especially to the young guys, as you get ready for week 1?
It's too late to go home now. Shoot. I do. I mean, in a joking fashion, I do say that, and I say, hey, come on, you've earned us. Let's go. And really just try to, just keep them focused on the task at hand. It's, we got a good group. We really do, and they work hard at it. Emmanuel had a really good practice today, and Quan is a guy that is going to be able to contribute as well. So we feel very comfortable with those guys. Ricky's going to be in his situation, circumstances, being ready to play if called upon. These guys are I think, a good class. They really are. So it'll be exciting to watch them get their opportunities to go out there, whether it be on special teams or some first and second down plays on offense or defense.
Coach, Sam Howell, obviously impressive throughout the preseason in terms of what he did on the field. What does it say about his character? What does it say about his leadership to be voted team captain by his peers?
I think it's really cool. It really is. And it was one of those things that, you sit there and you say, oh, I hope they pick the quarterback, and they did. And so it really was cool that they did that. But what it does tell you is that they get him. They understand who he is. I mean, he is a quiet leader, a very confident guy. Very steady. I mean, he's so even keel that's one of the comments that a lot of the guys do make about who he is that, man, nothing seems to shake this dude. And that's, I think, kind of important because now his teammates recognize that he's not going to get flustered. He's going to be able to handle himself.
We know that football is so much about preparation, especially the defensive side of the ball. Coming up against this Arizona Cardinals team, I mean, they appear to be an organization in flux. No quarterback has been named yet. How do you all prepare for your challenge this weekend?
Well, the biggest thing that we'll do most certainly is we'll prepare for what we anticipate they'll do, and probably and I know we're going to prepare for what we anticipate either quarterback doing. So, we may feel that one of the guys may have a tendency to run a little bit more. One we feel may get a little bit more RPO stuff. One may get a little bit more zone read. But we're going to prepare for those things, knowing based on where their coordinators are coming from, knowing that the offensive coordinator spent time in Cleveland and Minnesota, and with Coach Stefanski, and a lot of things that we saw in the preseason are very similar to what they did in Cleveland and Minnesota. And then we did see what looked like some of the stuff that they did in Philadelphia, and that's probably from Coach Gannon and his time in Philadelphia. And that's what we've anticipated as far as their defense. I mean, his coordinator came with him from Philadelphia. He was the linebacker coach there, so now you have a guy that's very familiar in that setting. So that's what we're kind of anticipating as far as our preparations are concerned.
You talked about the players hearing the message from Magic, but do you learn anything when a guy talks like that?
Oh,
Like,
very
is
much
it-
so. I mean, I do pay attention. And what was really neat was you could see us when he was saying things and it would catch our guys' attention. You could see how engaged they were because they would lean in. And I could see guys getting to the edge of their seats, leaning in to listen to every word he was saying. And I was doing the same thing. I mean, it was really kind of neat. It was really neat to listen to him talk about the dream team. And how it was to play with a group of guys like that and what it meant, and how that group of guys still held each other accountable. And, he said the hardest thing he had to deal with was figure out which guy he was going to give the ball to, whether it was going to be Jordan or Bird. I mean, what a tough choice. All right, thanks, All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.